Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode, we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. Today is Friday, September the 26th. We put off today's recording so that we could wait for the James Comey indictment that I know, right? It's nice because we had planned to record, we always record on Thursdays. I had some stuff pop up. We recorded on Friday morning instead. So, of course, there's a new, fresh destruction of our democratic process in the 24 hours from the planned recording to the current recording, the weaponization of the Justice Department, Cecil.
I wonder how far this is going to go. They said that no Justice Department official that's been there for a long time signed off on this. They found somebody who was basically Trump's defense attorney to take over this particular case. And it's a yes person, so they immediately just tried to do it. But most people won't stake their reputation on this. They don't think there's a lot of legs on this. So I'm not sure it's actually going to amount to anything except for just Trump using this as a way to say the people who came after me, I'm going to go after them. And I don't think this is the end of it. I think there's going to be more and more and more of this as time goes on. You're going to see more people that he doesn't like. And he's already starting it, right? Where he's talking about how he wants to go after the Soros Foundation. Right. So he's already got things in his sights that he's going to go after. This is a definite weaponization of the Justice Department. But my suggestion is log this and say, okay, cool. And as soon as, fingers crossed, Trump gets out of there and the time frame that is supposed to happen, let's say 2028 to brand new Democratic leadership. Let's also in our moment of glory here, Tom, let's dream for a moment that it's three branches or two branches of government happen to be left leaning. Call in all the people who were in Signalgate and charge them with the Records Act. You know what I mean? Just like weaponize it against other people. Like if you're going to weaponize it, let's just weaponize it against all the things that you did during your term. And then finally, they're going to say, oh, you know what? This is a bad idea. We're going down a bad road. Let's change the laws to make it so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, man, we are the weaponization of the Justice Department by the executive branch is a new territory, right? So where the executive branch, directs the Justice Department who to go after, and specifically going after political enemies. This is some banana republic shit. That's what this is. This is what dictatorial banana republic leaders do, right? They get into power and they immediately seek retribution against their political enemies to stifle other voices. And this has not only a direct effect on people like James Comey, but because it's unbelievable, he's going to win, right? Everything I've read is this is complete nonsense. There's essentially nothing here. So, but it's incredibly chilling to other people that would seek to do the right thing, knowing that at any time they also could be indicted, and being indicted costs you a shit ton of money. It's not like defending yourself when you win, the state's like, oh, sorry. Yeah. And here's your $1 million worth of legal fees that you probably had to leverage. James Comey's, at the end of the day, he's a regular guy. So what he's got to do is just like if I got, fucking indicted, I got to call attorneys that are going to charge hundreds of dollars an hour. And I've got to do things like sell my house or burn through my entire retirement fund and leverage everything I own and sell the shit out of my fucking living room and beg and borrow from friends and family and do fucking GoFundMes. James Comey's going to have to do all the same stuff. These are just people. He has to personally pony up all the money for his defense. And that defense, the state has essentially unlimited resources to burn his resources. So being indicted and then being cleared of that indictment can still ruin your life.
Yeah.
This has such an immense chilling effect on those who would do the essential work of keeping government functioning in a nonpartisan way. Now, everybody should be worried all the time. Everybody should just always be worried all the time. That's how our government is now. That's the directionality that this pushes our government into. And that is the shit that we see with dictatorial regimes where when the regime changes, everybody who was on the side before is now quaking in their boots about whether they're going to get fucking arrested. It really is a big deal. Like, it's just like, this is a huge, big deal. And I just keep thinking, man, we're not a year in, man.
No, we're not a year in.
We're not a year in.
This is the one thing, though, that might be, I don't know if it's good or bad, right? But it might be good in the sense that if he keeps on lighting things on fire, everything gets lit. This thing gets lit on fire. The next thing gets lit on fire. He's going after Comey. He's putting new tariffs in. He's consistently upping the ante when it comes to immigration. All of these things that are happening all across our country that all these people are seeing, he's hurting all the people with all these cuts that he just put in. There's nobody there to put it, throw the leash on this guy and say, hey, slow down a little. He's go. Let's do the worst we can whenever we can, as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that is going to be too much for the American people to bear. I wonder if he's going to piss off way too many people way too quickly and not sort of mete out his destruction of America over a longer period of time. And that might be something that could cause people to really reject this kind of leadership, wake up more people quicker, and then they're fucked for a longer period of time. Because if he fucks the Medicare people over early in his term,
right?
What does that mean after 3 years, right? After 3 years, they're devastated because they're suddenly paying a lot more for all the things that they weren't even getting good care before, but now they're getting worse care for more money. Right. And that's going to, and that wears on you after a while. And the same thing happens with all these tariffs. You put people out of business early on in your presidency. Suddenly what happens is they're out of business and maybe out of work for a long time. That's a long time for things to fester. And I think the more he does this stuff, the faster and earlier he does this stuff, the more he starts that snowball rolling against himself and his party. That's my only hope. I don't have any other hope, right?
No, man.
I don't have a lot of hope. That's what I got.
That's it, dude. I think, a couple of quick things and then we'll move on and talk about all the stories we want to talk about. But they start the Medicare cuts, most of the work requirements and stuff. This is all very strategic. And what I worry about is that most of America isn't following politics very carefully, right? We know that. And the Medicare cuts take effect January 1st, 2027, after the midterms.
Sure.
So they do this shit strategically in order for that pain that you're describing to not get in the way of their ability to perform in the midterms and build 4 solid years of full tricameral power, right? So that shit is a fucking absolute nightmare. I mean, I'm not 100% sure this number is accurate as of today, but I read something just the other day that his approval rating is somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the fucking 30s, man. Soybean farmers, I was listening to a podcast this morning. Soybean is an enormously valuable crop. It is second only to corn. And by second, it's something around I think the number I listened to this morning was about 90 million acres that are farmed of corn. And there's 85 million acres of soybean. Right. So it is an enormously important crop. It's in almost every processed food. It's in biofuels, all kinds of stuff. China is just not buying any soybeans. And when I say that, I've listened to a podcast and I read an article about this morning. When I say not buying any, I don't mean they've reduced the number. They're buying zero amounts of soybeans. And they were the world's largest or are the largest importer of soybeans from American farms in the world. And they're buying none of them. And soybean futures have absolutely crashed. They've gone down almost 50%. So about a third, actually. They went down from about $13 or $14 for a bushel on the commodities futures market to $9 and change. So that's a huge collapse. Farmers are looking and being we are going to lose money. All these soybean farmers are going to eat shit. What I worry about is we'll create these devastating economic policies that have these horrifying effects, then write a bailout check to the individual people affected. And nobody knows that these time bombs are still sitting out there. These are time bombs that they're setting. And a lot of the effects of those time bombs, we've seen this from Republican administration after Republican administration. They fuck shit up. They damage the economy. Then they get out of power. Then the Democrat who takes over spends time doing the right thing, fucking fixing that shit, but it's a big ship and it doesn't turn around on a dime. And fixes are often painful or costly or slow. Then by the time it gets fixed, everybody's been pissed off because things have been bad now for 5 or 6 years. And the last time things were bad, they were in a Democratic administration. Never mind that now they've gotten better. They still have that blame. So it's a real vicious fucking cycle.
Sure,
we saw this, like, we've seen this happen and play out now 3 or 4 times. I worry that it will play out again. And I wonder if the only way for Republicans to truly eat shit is for them to own the entire thing for 2 full fucking seasons or whatever, like election seasons. And that's a devastating generational impact, but we're already having a devastating generational impact. And I don't want any of these things to happen. I don't want that to be true. But like, same with you, man. Like, I don't know how to fix any of this anymore, you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America! President Camacho! Sit your monkey ass down. Chill out. Shit.
Well, Tom, let's play. You know, what we should do is he gave a speech at the UN. So I want to play a couple-minute video of Trump talking at the UN. By the way, he's going to mention in this speech that he was going up the escalator and it failed on him. And then he's going to also mention this teleprompter failed. From what I heard, some people had said that the teleprompter was like his team's fault. So it wasn't actually the problem of the people at the UN. It was that his team fucked it up somehow. But in any case,
did everybody remember to bring our Canva files? Who's got the Canva files?
Where's
Anyone?
our SlideShare
God
at?
damn it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to play this. It's a couple minutes, and it's the most deranged things that Trump said during his UN speech.
The teleprompter is important, and whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. The number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. You have to end it now. Sid, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign, they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. In the United States, we have still radicalized environmentalists, and they want the factories to stop. Everything should stop. No more cows. We don't want cows anymore. I guess they want to kill all the cows. We have a border, strong, and we have a shape, and that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. But the problem is that other countries, like China, which has air that's a little bit rough, it blows. And no matter what you're doing down here, the air up here tends to get very dirty because it comes in from other countries where their air isn't so clean. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity.
See, so what do you even do with that?
I don't know, man.
This speech was 56 minutes that he was given 15 minutes. And he fucking rambled like that for 56 minutes. What do you even do with that?
He had no teleprompter. So he did what he does at his rallies, which is the weave, which is him just saying random things and hoping that they fit together. And so what he did was he aired his grievances against every country that he could at the UN, including his own.
Sir, welcome to another episode of What Really Grinds My Gears, UN edition. What the fuck? Cecil, I don't even know, like renewables, they're failing. Like if you're in Europe and you're like, well, actually like a huge, in many parts of Western Europe, they'd be like, a huge amount of our electricity is actually generated.
We're good. We didn't ask you.
Yeah, like we know what's working.
Hey,
we wake up and we plug shit in, and a windmill made that happen. And it's
can't even get your teleprompter to work. So I'm not going to take any energy advice from you. You know, when he got stuck on that elevator, there's a great photo of him just giving the stink eye to the people. He's turned around and he's so mad. He's got to fucking walk up those stairs with his cankles. He's so
Jesus
furious.
Christ.
But yeah, so it's so embarrassing, man. Every time I hear that man speak at like a international event, I'm always just so utterly embarrassed for our country.
Dude, I want to send apology letters to I have handwritten personal apology letters. Like, Dear France, Tom Curry, am personally sorry for this.
Super sad, bro.
I promise we'll do better.
Yeah.
Except for, I'm not sure I can say the second part, France.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Not for a long time.
Gee, well, I know this isn't even on our notes, I don't think, but like he's also like, I think yesterday or the day before, he had a meeting because this guy he agrees with everybody he had a meeting with last.
Yeah.
So whoever's the last person he talked to, because he's really not a very sharp business guy at all. What he is a guy who agrees with the last most powerful person he talked to.
Yeah.
So we had a recent conversation with Zelensky. And of course he leaves that after having just fucking like bent the knee to Putin an hour ago. He has a meeting with Zelensky and is like, yeah, I actually think Ukraine can win the war and take back all of their disputed territory. And you're like, well, what? Pick a lane. What are we doing? Everything he says just tells me he's not really comprehending, or there's no through line. There's no intellectual cohesiveness. The only thing that he seems to be consistent on is who he's mad at.
Yeah. Well,
like,
sometimes that doesn't even work.
Changes.
Yeah, sometimes that changes too. Yeah, I think the through line is that he's confused and doesn't know what to do. And I think that that's a lot of what is happening in this presidency, is that he doesn't know which side to take. He also, I think, wants to be friends with everybody. I think he meets these people and he wants to be friends and be important in everybody's life. But you can't, when there's two nations having a conflict like Russia and Ukraine, you can't be the guy who's buddies with both. It's like having to pick a person in a divorce, right? Like when they get divorced, you got to say, well, I can't be friends with so-and-so because I'm friends with this person instead. You have to make a choice. And he's not making that choice. He's standing right in the middle of the road all the time, trying to be friends with both Putin and with Zelensky. And it doesn't work. And you shouldn't be friends with fucking Putin anyway. Like, Putin's a fucking horrible dictator. There's very few people in our government, except for the Russian stooges that are in our government, that think you should be friends with Putin.
Yeah, like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah,
like Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Sure,
our national security.
Yeah, like that person.
Right. Don't be worried, though. Everything's fine. It's fine. I know everything is on fire around you, but the little dog with the coffee cup says it's totes okay.
Gentlemen, from the Central Control for the Subconscious Weaponization Application Protocol, or SWAP, as we call her.
This story comes from NBC News. I think this is an important story. No evidence found yet of ties between Charlie Kirk's shooting and left-wing groups, officials say. Now, this is very important because after the shooting, Trump came out and J.D. Vance and all the rest of those assholes, Nancy Mace, they all came out, and not only did they blame the left for this, but they specifically decided that they were going to use this as an excuse to target left-wing groups that they are now labeling as domestic terrorist groups. Again, I think we talked about this last week. There is legally no such distinction there's no such label as a domestic terrorist organization. So that's a made up thing that isn't so far yet a thing. But they are actively intending to use this, as you pointed out earlier. Now they're going to go after the George Soros Foundation.
Yeah.
This was the thing that they always wanted to happen, right? This was their moment. This was like their fucking sinking of the Tonkin, right? Like they oftentimes people require some kind of a galvanizing catalyst that they can use as an excuse to do what they always intended and always wanted to do. And the Charlie Kirk killing was very much that galvanizing catalyst that gives them the excuse to now go after, like, prosecutorially, economically, and potentially life-threateningly, go after whoever they now deem to be an enemy of the state or a domestic terrorist.
Yeah, absolutely. They said it. They had his memorial, which was essentially a Trump rally.
Yes.
So his memorial happened this last week. They had Charlie's wife said something, but most of the other speakers were either pundits or they were Republican, actual Republicans in government. Trump spoke. They had Tucker Carlson speak. A couple other people spoke. These people, nobody there. It's not like they had his dad come up there and talk, right, and eulogize him. They had his wife come up there, but other than that, there wasn't anybody else there. So they very specifically created a rally after this person died so that they could then use that as a way to say, we're going to push forward policies based on today and the days before. Based on this death, we will do things in the future in this government because this gives us the sort of carte blanche to go and do these things. I can go do these things now because all I have to do is point to Charlie Kirk and nobody's going to say anything because it's gauche to say we're not going to do that sort of thing, because then you'd be like, what, you know, like you wanted Charlie Kirk to die, because they'll twist it in that way, and that's what they've been doing since. One of the things I saw that happened with this last week, Kimmel got let back on the air. Last week we recovered a story where Kimmel wasn't able to record his show anymore. They took him out. ABC took him off the air, and they took him off the air because of something that he did. And what he did was he had a short bit of tape where he said the MAGA Republicans are trying their best to make sure that the person who killed Charlie Kirk isn't one of them, doing their best to show that he isn't one of them.
Right.
And then he said, by the way, here's the president. Look how bad he's taking it. And they showed Trump, and Trump was clearly talking about the ballroom when he's asked a question about Charlie Kirk. Didn't give a fuck about Charlie Kirk.
Right.
Talking about how great the ballroom is going to be and how great the UFC is going to be at the main, at the White House or whatever. And so he says this on the air.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. Are they going to have a UFC fight at the White House?
Yes. You didn't know that?
No. Are you?
They're going to have a UFC fight
serious?
on the lawn. Yeah, on the lawn at the White House. Yeah.
No fucking. Are you? Wait a minute. This is the only
Tom,
thing I care about.
you didn't know this?
I don't know how I didn't know this, Cecil.
Tom, how did you not know this?
There's
going
not
to be a
kidding.
fight at the White House. They're going to have a UFC fight at the White House. Yes, 100%. Type it in your Google bar right now. UFC at White House. Go ahead and type it in. Go on. I'm not trolling you, dude.
Oh my God, on the lawn? On the lawn? Holy shit. Holy shit. On the south. Brondo, dude. Brondo, it's what plants crave.
You can't enter into a movie harder than we've entered into Idiocracy. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's impossible.
What?
You had no idea? You didn't know?
I am stunned right now.
God, Tom, you didn't know?
Stunned. Cecil, I am fucking flabbergasted right now. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, there's so many more important things, but like, could we do anything more like tacky? Could we be any more fucking classless and tacky and gross?
You, dude?
I don't know, man.
How
I don't
did
feel
it miss
like
you?
a lot
Look at the
misses
date
me.
on the story. Look at the date on the story you're looking at.
Fucking Jesus. I should have known this. I should have known this like a month ago.
A month ago. You should have known this a month ago.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm gonna fucking puke. I'm gonna fucking puke.
What was I talking about? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find
Dude, my brain literally exploded right now, and I can't even imagine.
I can't remember what I was talking about. It's all right. But in any case, they use this as, they're also going to be, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see that they put forth something about they want to put his face on money? Did you see this?
What the shit? Do I even read the news? Charlie Kirk's face on money? I'm not using
Go ahead
money
and type
anymore.
it in.
I'm
Go ahead
done.
and type it in, Tom. It
I'm
was
done.
a Republican. It might not go anywhere because it was just a Republican like
What?
vote. Yeah. It doesn't even look like him either, by the way. Cecil. Tom, do you even read the news?
I thought I did, man. Is it just gonna be his fucking little chiclet teeth? Is that all they're gonna do? Is like, I would only use this to buy fucking baby food since he looks like a fucking toddler.
When you put that coin in your mouth to bite it, you have to gum it.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Boycott money? You know?
Yeah, dude. The thing is like what they're trying to do, though, is use this death to shove it in your face constantly that they are the underdog, that they are under attack, and they're going to institute policies consistently and constantly based on this death that had little or nothing to do with politics, it seems.
Yeah.
The more they get into this, the more it's what you suggested last week when we read that article, which is, hey, it's just a random internet guy trying to do internet stuff.
Yeah, man. This is fucking... We are entering into a space that we have never been in before, where there's clearly become we've talked about this a lot. There is a deification process that is happening where the figureheads on the right are not only in power politically, but they are also making sure that they are in power culturally, right?
Yeah.
And religiously. And they're doing these things all at the same time, and they're not doing them because people believe and agree. They're doing them using threats, like explicit threats, using the following up on those threats with indictments and, with other things, with investigations, with the tools and levers of government. This is not the same thing as, hey, most of the university presidents are more left-leaning than right-leaning. Like, that's just an happenstance of how education tends to work, right? Or the same is true of like, hey, a lot of the people in Hollywood tend to be more left-leaning. Well, nobody from the top down made that happen. What's different here is that this is authoritarian, right? So the top is controlling it down. The top is pushing this cultural agenda down. This is part of, and we saw this with the way the Kirk rally actually played out. The Kirk rally was divided pretty equally into two parts. The first part was a religious sort of revivalist style event. And then the second part was this very hard right religious event or political event where, by the way, Trump said, I hate my opponents.
Yeah.
And I do not wish them well, right? Which is fucking insane. That's divisive as fuck. But I think that that's really important too, that like we've talked about the rise of Christo-fascism in America and this new religiosity and this new religion that we've not named, but is absolutely the real religion of America, which is this sort of like fundamentalist Americana-based, evangelism or something. Like, I don't know exactly how to name it, but I think everybody who hears me understands what I'm saying. Is there is now become a conflation and a new religion that combines the right's perception of a sanitized American history and American cultural values, which were never real, right? They're all made up. It's the David Barton version of history. And that has been like glued together with this like very like non-theological Christianity that really doesn't have any significant roots in any of the like larger branches historically of Christianity. They're making up this new religion is what I'm saying. And by combining both of these things together in the rally, they're showing us what to worship. And they're showing us that they do not want a difference between the worship of government and the worship of governmental leaders and political ideology and the worship of their deity. They are intentionally conflating them and locking them in step together. That's, again, like, these are the first steps Not even the first steps. These are the last steps that are taken before we just say out loud, enjoy the fascism.
Yes, where am I going, you might be asking? 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. I'm going to Dairy Queen, okay? Right? It's a little sweet treat thing for me. Is it technically over the calories that I should be consuming per day because I'm on a little bit of a calorie restricted diet? Yes. But you know what? Let's cheat a little, live a little, have a little something glorious a little. And you know what? You need a happy fun time for you is going to adamandeve.com and using code GLORY. That's what I'm thinking. When I'm thinking of me getting a sweet treat, I'm thinking of you getting an even sweeter one. Because when you do go to adamandeve.com and use code GLORY, you get 50% off almost any one item. Can you believe it? They're still giving you the 50% off almost any one item. With the code GLORY, of course, that's necessary. So do that at checkout. Why not? You get something fun for yourself, for somebody else. You use it with, bibbity bobbity. A little bit of that, a little cream, ice cream for the cream. Maybe that's something you're interested in. So go to adamandeve.com, get that 50% off almost any one item. When you use code GLORY, discreet, expedited, expresses free shipping, okay? I don't know what that voice was, but it's fine. But we're gonna get the ice cream now. Or you might just be getting the cream. Scream. We already did that part. I like mine with a little butterfinger, you know what I mean? And if you want to get your butterfingered, or M&M, you know what I mean? I don't know what that was, male. I mean, that's cool too. I mean, you do little tower that's in France that, to get, or just the two M&Ms together, or flip that up. That's WW, you know what I mean? That's lady, you know what I'm saying? And then anybody else. Okay. So do that. Use code GLORY. Do your business while it's still legal in this country. All right. Too dark and too soon. But glory, you know what I mean? It's on the horizon. Because, this day is our day. Okay? Whose sheets? Our sheets. No, I probably shouldn't say that. But, you know what I mean? Oh, God. Just have sex. All right? God damn it. And go to adamandeve.com and use code GLORY. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Scores of witches and wizards have claimed that they only did you-know-who's bidding. Bribery!
So Candace Owens this week and Megyn Kelly had something to say about Charlie Kirk's death. It's something we touched on the week he died. And it was about the Etsy curse that was cast by Jezebel on him. And I want to play this clip that people can hear it. It's really something to hear. It's a couple minutes long, but it's definitely worth your time.
I learned when I was out in Arizona last week that 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the far-left website Jezebel declared that it had a mission to cast bad luck or a curse on Charlie. They wanted to hurt him in some way. They declared, quote, if the far-right misogynist with a bad haircut wants to villainize independent women, Jezebel is more than happy to be the hag of his nightmares. And they went on to the website Etsy, yes, Etsy, to, quote, cast a curse on him. The website known for making arts and crafts on demand will happily cast a hex through its witches, who you can hire, on someone if you ask them to. Erica and Charlie Kirk heard about these curses. And that news genuinely rattled Erica in particular. She knew Christian teaching on the subject. She loved Charlie, absolutely. And she was scared when she heard of the curses Jezebel had called up. So much so that she and Charlie contacted a friend who I believe she said was a Catholic priest, but definitely a friend, and asked him to come over and pray with them over Charlie the night before he was murdered. She eventually worked it through, and so did Charlie. That, as she later told me, weapons will form but not prosper. That Satan and those witches have no power.
So just to add a little color to the story, I think that the people who did this and what we've learned about those women is I think they were probably who hired, people that did the hiring were probably trying to be funny. People that don't believe in spiritual forces were probably just like, LOL, it's like Vice. It's like, Vice publication. Like, I smoked a blunt and, listened to the Beatles music backwards. Like, it's like, they don't take that stuff seriously. So they're trying to be like, haha, funny headline, right? And the person who wrote the article about it said, I'm not calling on dark forces to cause him harm. I just want him to wake up every morning with an inexplicable zit, right? So she's probably trying to be funny, to be fair, but contacted witches who are not trying to be funny. That's the problem when people don't understand that this stuff is real, that you're saying to a witch, yeah, I'll pay for you. I'm going to reach out to you to pay for you to put a curse on Charlie. And that witch did that. And it brought, obviously you can see, they were distressed by this. They consulted a Catholic priest who I assume would have immediately conducted an exorcism that probably should have been done in the Latin rite. But I feel like that's just something that people should know, because until something happens to you spiritually, you tend not to believe in these things. And like I said, that's a part of this. They very much know what religion they follow. The numbers, the numerology, it makes sense to them. The people that are in control of this world, be very cautious of that stuff.
Okay, Tom.
Jesus.
Here's my favorite part of that whole
Titty
story.
fucking Christ.
Here's my favorite part, though.
Yeah.
Etsy witches are more powerful than the Catholic Church. That's my favorite part of the whole thing. It shows you that if you believe this, if you're a person who goes into the world and says, yeah, the fucking Jezebel hired someone off Etsy and used PayPal to pay them to rub their crystals together to curse another human. If you believe that actually happened, you also have to believe that the Kirks went out of their way to go get somebody to take that curse off, and it didn't fucking work. It didn't work. It lost. In fact, it backfired. You have to believe that. That's on you now. You have to believe that. You have to believe that the fucking curse couldn't be lifted because somebody paid with PayPal and they had pay protection on it.
Cecil, your almighty God who created time itself, right? Your almighty God who created the very idea of time and matter lost a wizard fight.
Lost a wizard fight
to a charcuterie witch from fucking Instagram or whatever.
Expelliarmus right onto the charcuterie board.
Well,
amazing.
I knew I shouldn't have invented. It's that like, can God microwave a burrito too hot for him to eat? Can God create a witch too strong for him to fight?
See, the thing is, I'm allergic to quartz, so I had a lot of quartz on that board, and I just. Whenever I get near it, I get itchy. You know what it does is it makes it so it's hard to swallow. Like when you're trying to swallow and you're like, and you get a little dry throat. That's what I got when I go around that quartz. So fucking amazing, dude.
Oh my God.
It's the best shit I've ever heard all year. Two fucking people. And the thing is they don't believe this. They 100% don't think dark forces exist. These people, all they want is the dark force of your money shooting into their accounts. That's all they want. They don't give a fuck. One, they don't care about Charlie Kirk. But two, they don't give a fuck about any of this stuff. They know this stuff isn't real. They're like, this is all bullshit. But you know what they can do? They can tune their audience up and make it seem. But I'll tell you what. You backfired because you basically said that the devil's more powerful. So, way to go, dummy. That's
my
amazing.
God, I fucking love this shit.
That's my favorite bit of tape we heard all year.
Idiots.
It's my favorite I've heard all year.
Maintain social distance and wear a chin diaper if possible.
This story is from NPR.org. This Governor Gavin Newsom signs bill banning law enforcement and ICE from wearing masks. I am really, we've talked about, I am not a fan, generally speaking, of Gavin Newsom. I'm not. I think he's wrong on some really important stuff, but he's right on some other important stuff.
He's trolling the right too in a lot of great ways with his social media account is. I don't know if he's running it, but his social media account is doing a great job. Exactly what it should be doing to point how stupid and idiotic all the Trump stuff is.
Yep. So this is like, this stuff is essential, right? So what's happening now is that people are walking around in fucking unmarked cars. Without badges or badge numbers. With their faces covered. With a vest that just says police. And they're disappearing people. They are grabbing human beings up in America, throwing them bodily and by force into these vehicles, and then nobody can find those people. So when I say disappearing them, I'm not exaggerating. Nobody can find them. There's been story after story after story about people who have families and attorneys that are looking for these people. They cannot be found. They are disappeared. There are stories of detainees who have been interviewed that have been held for extended periods of time with no access to the outside world, to friends, to family, and to legal representation. So we are absolutely clandestinely disappearing human beings in America. This is some fucking banana republic, fucking dictatorial shit. And like, think too, Cecil, about how easy it would be if you just want, like, let's say you're just like a fucking random, I'm being a little ridiculous here, but let's say you were just like a fucking random bad guy, right? You're just a shithead. You could ride around, you can buy a whole bunch of tactical looking bullshit. And because these guys don't have badges and badge numbers that are plainly visible, and they're not identifying themselves as what department they belong to or what agency they belong to, and their faces are covered, if we normalize that, dude, you and I, Cecil, could buy a fucking balaclava and a bunch of tactical shit, and we could decide to disappear people too. And if that kind of activity is normalized on the streets of America, there is no reasonable end to it. Transparency is at the foundation of democracy. Without transparency, you cannot have liberty. It is not possible to have liberty and freedom absent transparency.
I hope that what this does is it makes people recognize that we need more enforcement of how police act and enforcement of how they have to behave for the safety of the American people. And I hope that this is one of those things that we look at and say, no, we've got to put regulations in place like he's doing here with no masks, but there's got to be more where there's accountability when you take that job. Every other job has accountability, right? Every other job. If I'm working at Starbucks and I spill Drano in your drink and you drink it, I'm fucked, right? I'm fucked. The company's fucked. That's a big deal. That's a problem. But we let these people spill their poison every day. We let these people rough people up without any kind of punishment whatsoever on their part. Anytime there's any like real problem with what they do, the union comes in and pays for it, and then they get shipped off to another place like a Catholic priest. That sort of thing happens all the time. So hopefully this is one of those things that after all this is over, fingers crossed it eventually becomes over, you have an opportunity to look at our system of law enforcement in this country, not just with ICE, but with all law enforcement, and say, these things can't happen. We should have to have safeguards in place for the American people to protect them. And I hope that happens. What I hope happens too is that there is, that people pay attention to who these people are. And after it's all over, maybe we can have a list of people who fucked up, or at least the videos of those people fucking up, throwing people on the ground, holding guns to their head, using excessive force over and over and over again, and say, we're going to find out who these people are, and they're going to have to answer for all the things that they did during the Trump presidency. So during the Trump presidency, when they had free reign, they don't have free reign anymore. And now they're going to have to answer for all the bad things that they did while Trump was president. And we're going to list, and we've got all these videos of them being awful and being jackbooted thugs, and we're going to punish them for that. That's what I hope happens after this is over, to sort of show that the law enforcement doesn't have all the power that they think that they have and that they can abuse constantly.
Yeah, man. And like, it's interesting that it is only now that ICE and law enforcement feels it necessary to cover their faces. And why is that? It's because in the lead up to the election, the Trump administration and their various sycophants and yes people and mouthpieces, they put out into the cultural narrative an aggressive vilification that was necessary in order for them to get their immigration policies pushed forward. People are eating dogs and cats in fucking Ohio, all that kind of stuff. So what they were doing is intentionally creating a very violent and divisive, there's a town in Colorado where the police have lost control, and in Dearborn, Michigan, it's Sharia law and all this really incendiary stuff. That messaging is the fucking tinder. That is the tinder. And they have lit that shit on fire. I do think it is reasonable to say that it is more dangerous than it ever has been to be an ICE agent or a police officer. But that reason isn't because the left, because it wasn't that dangerous when the Biden administration and the Obama administration were deporting more people using ICE than their Republican predecessors. It was not that dangerous. The danger comes from the rhetoric. The danger comes because the right has inflamed everybody and ramped this up and turned what is a regular sort of like administrative and police function of the state into this authoritarian function. And people are understandably upset about that. So like none of this is because like it has always been impossibly dangerous to do this job. It has not been impossibly dangerous to do this job until right now. Well, what's changed? What's changed is the vilification. That's what's changed. What's changed is the dividing of our country into an us and them nation.
Yes.
That's what has changed.
He finally came to the conclusion that they were definitely not human.
This story is from the New York Times. Democrats open inquiries into handling of home investigation. President Trump's border czar was investigated for potential bribery after accepting a bag with $50,000 in cash.
That doesn't seem like something that you normally do. When was the last time, Tom, you accepted, and I'm not saying $50,000.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying money in general in a bag. When was the last time you've ever gotten paid from somebody and it came in a bag?
Cecil, the only time that has ever happened in my life, and the bag did have a big comic dollar sign on it, and I was actually tying a woman to the tracks at the time, the train tracks.
Did you have
and twirling my mustache?
Yeah, you had a handlebar back then. I remember that. You had to wax it all the time. It was a whole thing.
Like, what am I, like a fucking cartoon bank robber? A fucking bag of, here's your bag of money, sir.
I see it as like a bag you would put Mad Dog 2020 in, like a paper bag.
Like a paper
That's
bag?
What I see it as. Yeah.
God, would that be paper or plastic? What kind of bag do you want when you're taking your 50? Here's what's crazy. The FBI did this. The FBI gave Homan $50,000 and he was like, cool, thanks for the $50,000. Near as I can tell, he just got to keep the $50,000, man. They closed the investigation. He's $50,000 richer. The FBI's out 50 fucking grand. And we're all standing there with our thumbs up our ass being like, well, I guess you can bribe the border czar. Like what they did is they said, hey, it looks like you are up for this job as border czar. And we want to get in your good graces ahead of time. And he was like, yes, I'm up for that job as border czar. I'll take your bag o' cash.
I will point you to the pricing wall for good graces. If you look under good graces, I will need $50,000 in cash, but I can't accept it unless it's in a bag.
Cecil, I had a few years ago, this is just kind of funny. I had a weird situation with my banking. And so I had to move money, cash, from one bank to another bank, which is a weird thing to do in like the 2020s, but like it was a weird situation that popped up and I had to move some money cash. If it turns out that like if you get pulled over and all you have on you is a giant wad of fucking cash, in many states, that's enough for asset forfeiture.
Yeah, they can just
seizure.
take it. Yeah.
They can just be like, the only reason you would have this money is for fucking nefarious drug shit. And then they just take your money. So like all I was doing was driving that money from one bank to another bank. And I was so nervous, man.
The whole time.
If somebody handed me a great big fucking bag o' cash.
Well, it's
like,
fine though, because
I'll take it.
If it's the FBI, And you know it's the FBI, and you don't give a shit because you're going to be in power in a little bit. And then you're like, great. And the thing is like, he totally got tricked. Then he comes on fucking Fox News. They're like, did you do anything wrong? And he's like, nope. And they're like, end of interview.
Nope. It turns out that you can just accept bribes.
Fucking amazing, dude.
What?
Again, this is another person. If you're going after Comey, great. Guess whose name's going to get put on the big board? As soon as somebody comes in that can prosecute him, it's going to be this guy. You know, that's what I would do. I'd just start making a list and be like, great, if we're just going to go back and forth and make lists and prosecute people, then we're just going to start this list and we're just going to have a nice big list of names. So the first thing that happens when somebody gets into government that's not you is you're going to get fucked hard. Bad. All day, every day, all entire term. And be
Constantly.
like, if you want to weaponize the Justice Department, two can play at that game. Let's weaponize the Justice Department. Because you notice what they didn't do with Comey is they didn't say, we're going to get a special prosecutor to look at all the evidence. And then we're going to say that special prosecutor has a decision to make. They're going to make a decision on whether or not they're going to charge this case. They didn't do that at all. What they did was they got a Truth Social tweet that said you need to prosecute him. That's what they got. So you basically have a lead directly from the president saying that's okay. Well, if that's okay for you, then it's okay for everybody to do after you.
Cecil, isn't it astonishing? I mean, maybe astonishing isn't the right word. There should be a word, and I don't know what it is, to reflect how I feel about the fact that when the Trump administration chooses to break every fucking norm, political and procedural, administrative, and cultural norm, and to actively weaponize the Justice Department against his political enemies, that he doesn't even bother to have a closed door meeting.
Yeah.
That he just fucking tweets it out.
He basically gets his megaphone out and shouts it from the window.
Right. This is one of those things where, like, I wonder how much of this is possible or is happening because there may be a sense that if it's this out in the open, it must be okay. And the people who are making a big deal out of it are just his, media and political enemies, because this isn't happening behind closed doors. That's where the bad shit happens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
so
yeah.
I wonder if it isn't actually a fairly smart tactic to just break the law outside where everyone can see it.
Maybe.
Like Homan accepted the cash, a bag of cash, guys.
Yeah.
In exchange with undercover FBI agents, right? And these guys were posing as businessmen saying, hey, we hear you're up to be the border czar. We want some of that sweet, sweet government contract money. So we'll give you $50,000 in this bag labeled evidence. And then you promise to get us those contracts. And Homan was like, yup, sounds good. I will take this bribe money. And in exchange, I will quid pro your quo.
Would you like fries with that?
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end.
Oh, God, I fucking love this so much. New York Times, a statue of Trump and Epstein holding hands is removed from the National Mall.
It's a fucking great statue, though. Look at it on the screen.
God.
It's so amazing. And it's
good.
A statue dedicated to friendship. That's my favorite shit. It was installed during like National Friendship Day. It's fucking
and it says on it fucking says on it, best friends forever. And they're like, if you guys don't see this, like Trump is on, it's a big life-size statue. One is Trump, one is Epstein. And like they're holding hands and they're clearly frolicking. They each have like one leg kicked up in that sort of like tra-la-la frolic sort of like international gesture.
Dude, would you put this on your lawn? I would 100% put this on my lawn.
I would put this on my lawn and get arrested for jerking off to it, Cecil. This is so fucking funny. This is so fucking funny. This is
amazing.
So good.
This is exactly what needs to happen. And they had a proper permit, but they still took it down.
They broke it. They took it down and fucking smashed it up. Like, so they were just like, you can't.
So mad. I'm so angry. I'm so angry about everything.
God,
it's the best, dude. I love it so much.
Delicious.
Dude, keep doing it. I think that they should do it as often as possible. It's got to cost a lot of money to make a big bronze statue like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I really do think that the one possibility that we might have to not losing everything, and I'm not really even kidding, is humor.
Yeah.
It might be that if you just make that side, I really think we were close when we started calling them weird. I think that was really, really close to like what we need to do. I think the stuff that Gavin Newsom is doing is actually
It's exactly what needs to happen.
That's fucking God's work, dude. That is essential shit.
It's exactly what needs to happen. Like I think that sort of thing of pointing out their hypocrisy constantly, but then also in their voice is the greatest thing you can do to show them like how to, I mean, just think of that. Just think of how easy it is to type in all caps and make them so angry about it. And then they go out of their way to say how unprofessional you look. It's perfect. It's genuinely perfect.
As always, corrupt people, corrupt system, corrupt government.
But don't you work for the government?
No further questions.
This story comes from the New York Times. Trump's efforts to punish his enemies are ramping up. Some rank and file prosecutors are growing alarmed about pressure to bring indictments, even when the evidence is weak. So we talked about the Comey piece, but James Comey is not the only one, Cecil. James Comey is the sort of like tip of this spear. And I did listen to a story this morning, I think, where they were talking about how there may be like mass walk-offs in the Justice Department.
Yeah,
of
they were
some
saying
of their,
could be,
because
they could leave.
Yeah, why would you put your fucking name on this? Like, as soon as we talked about this a minute ago, but like, if I am Tom Curry, right, and I am now leading the investigation into James Comey, and then the administration flips, are they maybe going to prosecute me next?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not safe. Like, if I do this,
safe.
The best way for me to be safe is to just not be a part of this administration.
Private practice, baby. That's what it is. The other thing too, and this is not mentioned in this article, but it's something we talked about earlier, is the weaponization of the FCC, right? So the weaponization of the FCC to go after and pressure people to take other shows and things off the air that don't agree with the or that make fun of you or don't agree with your administration, et cetera. That's a real danger, right? And there was a while back, I don't know if you remember this time, because you didn't look at comments on YouTube, but every week there would be a comment on YouTube, because you and I were talking about social media for a long time, and we were talking about AI, we're talking about deep fakes, we're talking about misinformation, and we would have these conversations, and you and I would say something like, there needs to be some way for the general public to be able to discern how real something is. We have to figure out some way to do that. And you and I talked about different ways. We had no idea how to actually figure it out. We're like, well, I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but there's got to be some way. And sometimes we would bring up, maybe there needs to be some sort of governmental institution that has to handle this stuff or whatever, maybe a nonpartisan governmental institution. And there was this one guy who commented every week when we would talk about that stuff, and they'd say, these two idiots want a ministry of truth. He kept saying it over and over and over again. Every week, it's the same thing over and over. They want a ministry of truth. They want a ministry of truth. They want a ministry of truth. I don't think that guy watches our show anymore.
Right.
But I just got to ask that guy, what the fuck is this then? What is this then? Right? You didn't want it when people who were responsible were in power. You didn't want it. You said, no, that's overreach. That's overreach. That's overreach. Now you have fucking real overreach. And where the fuck are you? Where are you? You were a fucking dumbass libertarian commenting on our shit. Be like, oh, they want a ministry of truth. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is the FCC walking in and telling people they need to take people off the air? What the fuck is that but the ministry of truth? What is it then? I don't have another name for it.
No.
What is it?
Cecil, would you be even, we just renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War. Would you be even remotely surprised if we had a Ministry of Truth?
Yeah.
A Department of fucking Truthiness or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be surprised if we named a Kavifife fucking director of the Department of Truthiness next week. Like,
he makes Starbucks rename their company Coffee Fife. That'd be fucking amazing.
You're exactly, there's, what else do you even say? What else do you even say about this except for this is not the impending death of our democracy. This is the active murder.
Yes.
We are watching it in real time. Let me say it out loud. We are not like a thing that might happen, a thing that could happen. If this gets out of control, this is what. We're done with that. Let's set that aside. This is it.
Yeah.
This is happening right now in front of you. That is what is happening in front of you, right? Like, it's occurring, not going to occur.
This is bad. We gotta definitely write a song about how we do not diddle kids. Do not diddle kids. It's no good diddling kids.
There is no quicker way for people to think that you are diddling kids than by writing a song about it.
You gotta write a song that says, ooh, I wouldn't do it with anybody younger than my daughter. No little kids, gotta be big, older than my wife, older than my daughter, something like that.
Don't write a song about that.
No, I'm cloudy. I got a headache.
This story comes from The Guardian. Parents outraged as Meta uses photos of schoolgirls in ads targeting men. Instagram
Yikes,
pictures of girls as young as 13 were posted to promote threads as bait, according to a campaigner. Now, I read through this article, and let me kind of summarize exactly what's happening. Fucking exactly what that says. Meta is intentionally using private photos, by the way, that like, even if your profile is set to private, does not matter. So there are no settings within Meta that you can use to prevent this. They have the explicit right to take your photos and use any photo that you put up as part of their ad campaigns. In this example, they took pictures of little kids in schoolgirl outfits because they were back to school photos, and they intentionally marketed those photos to men in order to entice them to get Threads accounts. And when they were asked about it, they didn't say, oh, you know what, these were randomly selected photos. They said, we're allowed to fucking do that.
Yeah.
That's
it's in
what
our
they
terms
said.
of service.
Yeah.
Read the TOS, bitch.
Yep.
And then they shut the door.
That's this. So there's no apology. There's no, this was an error. There's no, we have systems that are supposed to prevent this and we'll make sure we do better. They said, we're allowed to do this. I don't know what you fucking want from me. So what the fuck? Like, this is the how manyth time that Meta products, Instagram, Wall Street Journal did an expose maybe a year ago about the ways that Instagram is intentionally, and they had meetings about this and chose to do it, intentionally using their algorithms in Instagram to feed pictures of young girls to adult men. Like, these companies, if we want to talk about like pedophile rings,
yeah, right.
Meta is a pedophile ring. They are intentionally using pictures of kids and feeding those to men intentionally, not men by accident, not men and women too. They are using those specifically to target men in order to gain access to them as a demographic. It is so, it's beyond gross. This should be criminal. And like, when this happened, I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but like, I decided I can't stay on these products anymore. I can't do it. And it, like, I've talked about this before, but it makes me so sad that I had to get off, actually, because when I got off of Meta products, what happens is, like, my wife chose to stay, and everybody can choose to do what they want. I'm not saying you got to do this, but like, now, like, all of our shared memories are gone. On her page, it says married to blank. You know, all the like little flirty back and forth that we had when we were dating, all that stuff's gone. Our memories where I tag her and she tags me, that stuff's gone when you delete your account. It's sad. It made me sad to delete my account. And then it's funny because you have 30 days. They don't actually delete it for 30 days permanently.
Yeah. And they actually probably won't delete it at all anyway. They'll keep all that stuff up there and they'll keep it trying to entice you back in a year or whatever. Yeah. They'll keep doing it. They're not going to delete it.
No, they're not going to. And I know that. But I know too that like my protest leaving is nothing. I know it's nothing.
No, it's principle. But that's not nothing. That's principle. That's absolutely something.
Yeah.
That is
like it
100%
accomplishes nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, it accomplishes you recognizing that you have enough principles not to be there. Right. And that bothers you. And so you should stand up for that whenever you see something like that. Whenever something bothers you like that, you should always be, even if you don't think that company's going to lose any money, it doesn't matter. They lost your money. Yeah. They lost and it wasn't your money, Tom, it was your data that they were selling to people. Yeah. Right? So like, that's one thing that we've always got to remember is the reason why it's so free is because it's ads and data. They're selling your data and they're selling your ads. I've been doing research recently on these quacks that are on Rogan, right? So there'll be a quack who is like, yeah, all you got to do is choke down fucking 6 beef kidneys a day and you'll be fine or whatever. And so I have to do searches for these people. And what I get is constant barrage everywhere I go on the internet of fucking beef kidney extract or whatever. So I'm constantly covered in all this stuff. I don't even believe that shit, but I have to research it, and I have to go to their store to look at how fucking expensive their $180 Warrior stack of pills is. I have to figure out how much that costs so I could put it in notes, and then suddenly now I'm their target, and Meta will never forget it. So not only am I getting that, but every reel is this guy with his shirt off telling me I need to fucking choke down a beef liver.
Yeah, man.
And so they will continue to sell my data, and they will continue to weaponize that data against me over and over and over again. And it's not just them, it's the entire internet. If I go to fucking New York Times, it's going to be up there because Google sold it to them.
Yeah.
So everybody's selling everything about you all the time. These people don't have any of your interests in whatsoever. They give you a product so that you can, after it's all over, be like, hey, I enjoyed uploading my photos from vacation, and now I'm constantly inundated with every single thing I've ever looked at on the internet. It's constantly bombarding me with ads. It's like Minority Report, but sadder.
Yeah, man, it is. It's like if what we had to do is as adult people, was explained to us in a way that like really made sense to us, and we understood it. And we said, okay, this is what I get in order to have these free products. It's not good at all. It's bad, but there's really like no alternative to live in the world. There's a pretense that that by accepting the terms of service for like Google, for example, or whatever, that you're agreeing to this. But the reality is that in 2025, you can't live functionally without the internet, without an email address, without a smartphone, you can't live your life in a socially functional way without engaging in these services for which there are not always good or accessible or tech-friendly or easy alternatives, right? So I know that there are alternatives to a lot of this stuff, but you have to be pretty fucking tech-savvy to even know they exist and to find them, and then to engage them. And then many of those things are going to sort of, in some ways, isolate and otherize you in some ways, because you're going to have less exposure to the same things that all of your peers and your social group, et cetera, have. So the idea that this is some kind of a free market choice is inaccurate. It's just not. And like having come off of Meta, I feel, like I said, I actually wanted to just chat. Like I feel really conflicted because I'm not going back. I am 100% not going back. This is the last straw for me. The straw was already bending. So like this is 1,000% the last straw, but I have lost something that all of my family and friends and peers and like connections through the shows and all of that stuff. So like the only person who eats shit really is me. And I know it. And I just can't make myself do it anymore. I cannot make myself engage this and pay that price and be like, here's my attention economy too, right? Like here are my eyes, here are my clicks, here's like I can't make myself do it, but like I am now isolated in ways, Sure. Like I will not find out about things that other people will find out about. I am now removing myself in significant ways from many of the ways that we all understand the world. And that's not good for me. I lose here.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. We're going to be back on Monday with another full show, and we're going to leave you, like we always do, with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mom.